What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Yahoo with a 10-team half PPR mock where we will be picking 8th overall. Should be pretty interesting. And while we wait for this thing to kick off, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get into it and let's see what happens here. The first 2 picks have been made. They are Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson. So 2 wide receivers going with the first 2 picks in half PPR. Again, you guys know my thoughts on this, especially as we, go from full PPR to half PPR. I think running backs matter even more. And, especially those like classic running backs like the Saquon Barkleys, like the Jonathan Taylors, the type of guys that can lead the league in rushing. That's what I mean there. But look, the first 7 picks have been made. Part of me wanted to get a little bit cute with this here and experiment what would happen if we drafted Travis Kelce in the first round, but we won't get a chance to do that. It's okay, though. It's not the end of the world here. I mean, if you're going to give me value of Bijan Robinson with the 8th pick, I'm going to take Bijan Robinson with the 8th pick. And I think a lot of times that's what you have to do, especially in this year's draft. Like, if the value is there, if somebody just goes on a run, whether it's at running back or wide receiver, and then, there's just a guy that you can't pass up on at the other position, I think you got to pull the trigger. Because right now, I'm looking at the possibility of potentially starting this draft with Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley, and that looks real damn good to me. Now, maybe we devalue Saquon Barkley a little bit because we're worried that he might sit out because he's on the franchise tag. Okay, no worries. Then we go with somebody like a Nick Chubb, and that's a possibility. But look, as of right now, again, maybe a month from now, Saquon Barkley is actually holding out. Maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, he still hasn't signed that tag. So then we treat that situation differently. But as of right now, we've still got pretty much, it's mid-July until mid-September, 2 months to go. So there's time for things to change. And I'm treating the situation as it stands right now. And I think the majority of people believe that, Saquon Barkley and the franchise tagged running backs, Jacobs, Tony Pollard are going to play. But we'll see. Maybe some things go haywire here. But let's quickly break down this first round and almost this entirety of the second round. Because the first 2 picks were Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson. Again, okay, if you want to take Justin Jefferson with a top 5 pick, fine. But I just don't know about him and Ja'Marr Chase going 1 and 2 respectively. I still think that should be Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, who are the next 2 picks, followed by Jonathan Taylor. Tyreek Hill then goes, followed by Travis Kelce. And then we took Bijan Robinson. I was hoping Cooper Kupp might fall to us, but I definitely expected him to get selected. I'm going to be curious to see how some of these people towards the end of the draft that picked 9th and 10th overall, that went just 2 straight wide receivers to kick this thing off, how they bounce back in terms of the running backs that they can select. In the second round, we had Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, so we didn't even have a chance to select, the next top-notch wide receivers. I think there's a tier break afterwards. We take Saquon Barkley, no worries there. Nick Chubb goes immediately afterwards. I was between those 2 guys. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard. I'd be taking Tony Pollard ahead of Derrick Henry. Patrick Mahomes, please don't draft Patrick Mahomes this early, especially in a 10-team league. I continue to stand by that. Then Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, the next tier of wide receivers. Breece Hall, Ramondre Stevenson, A.J. Brown. But we'll get back to that. Let's look at the board right now and see what we can do here. See if we can, do something intriguing. I'm not going to take Joe Mixon here, even though I think that, he shouldn't be falling this far. I'm going to take my favorite wide receiver at this point in time. That is Chris Olave. So you've seen me do this a bunch. And I think at the end of the third round, it's very good value. So I'm going to stand by that. But in the third round here, Breece Hall, Ramondre Stevenson, good value on both those guys. A.J. Brown, Travis Etienne, Josh Allen, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave was our selection. These two guys select Najee Harris, Aaron Jones. Two guys that I don't really love. They're kind of big names, but I could see both of them struggling pretty significantly. T. Higgins just got selected right before us. A little bit unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Here, Mark Andrews is screaming value, but I don't believe in him personally. Looking at wide receivers, Devonta Smith is still there. Kind of tempting, but I think Calvin Ridley, if you believe in him, he probably won't be there for us in the next round. I'm going to take him right here. And I feel pretty good about our starting wide receivers, Olave, Calvin Ridley. Maybe a little bit of a reach. We could have gotten, as far as running backs are concerned, I like Miles Sanders. I like Joe Mixon. I like James Conner. All those are guys that I like. As far as wide receiver, the reason I went with Ridley, Devonta Smith, not the number one on his team. Amari Cooper, he was tempting. He was there in terms of candidates. DeAndre Hopkins, no chance in hell he should be ranked this high. Deebo Samuel, I'm personally out on. Keenan Allen, he was, again, definitely for consideration. Somebody that I like in full PPR scoring. Tyler Lockett, I'm lower on a little bit. Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore. I have Calvin Ridley ranked higher than both of those guys. So from that perspective, it wasn't that hard of a decision. In this fourth round, otherwise, Jalen Hurts, and I think that's a perfect example. Jalen Hurts going with the first pick in the fourth round compared to Patrick Mahomes going with one of the last picks in the second round. Even though I don't like taking quarterbacks early, this is why you don't take a quarterback in the second round, because one of those top tier one guys, if it's going the way it should, could be available at the end of the third round, could be available at the start of the fourth round. And I think that's just so much better value. So we see that there. Then T. Higgins, we went Calvin Ridley. Isaiah Pacheco, I think that's a massive reach at that point in time. So many better running backs at this juncture. Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Mark Andrews finally goes. He was a value at that point in time, but just personally somebody I'm out on. I just don't think that the Ravens are going to be pass heavy. And even if they make that transition, they have so many other targets as well this year. In addition to Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Odell, healthy Rashad Bateman, we'll see. J.K. Dobbins, Lamar, Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Burrow, and then Joe Mixon. Yeah, Joe Mixon was screaming value at this point in time. I anticipate we're going to see that next batch of running backs go that are just sitting right here. Guys like Miles Sanders, guys like a Pierce, Akers, James Conner. Let's see what happens, though. T.J. Hawkinson, Amari Cooper. So nothing too crazy at this point in time. And for what it's worth, we have, for the most part, a full draft lobby type of situation. So I don't think we've seen anything too crazy. Now, yes, there's been picks that I don't agree with for sure. But again, it's a situation where it's not like we had, a team completely blow up this draft with something that we have never seen before. So from that perspective, kind of realistic. Keenan Allen, I was wondering when Keenan Allen would go. If Keenan Allen had fallen to us, that would have been insane value. So right now, I really like George Kittle, getting him as our tight end. Again, I say getting the positional advantage here in these smaller leagues is a little bit more important. I prioritize tight end over quarterback because, in my opinion, quarterback is just deeper. So we went with George Kittle. Okay. Maybe we could have waited another, I guess would have been 2 rounds until Kyle Pitts potentially was selected. I'm not sure. James Conner is still there. Alexander Madison is still there. If Conner is there, he's going to be hard to pass up. I think, when he's healthy, he's going to be catching a lot of passes. That's going to be valuable. Wide receiver-wise, I told you guys I'm not a Hopkins fan until at least we know where he signs. DJ Moore, not bad value at this point in time. Looking at other guys, Marquise Brown, not bad value either, but I'm kind of just thinking of it from a perspective who's ranked higher, who has a higher chance to drop to me. So kind of playing that game a little bit. Alvin Kamara is somebody that should be ranked higher in my opinion, but maybe taking the possible suspension into account. Justin Fields just went. He was definitely on my radar. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Here, we could go with a quarterback, get a potential difference maker at that position. Question is, who do we like more, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence? I personally have Justin Herbert ranked a little bit higher. So let's do that. Let's just go with the quarterback here. And I maintain that we could have waited even longer for a quarterback for what it's worth. But kind of playing around with the idea, again, in the fifth and sixth round here, respectively, we took a tight end, we took a quarterback that's normally earlier than we typically do it. Ooh, Aaron Rodgers here. Common wisdom would have been Trevor Lawrence, but I really like that Aaron Rodgers pick. I think it's a savvy pick. I think he's going to bounce back, so I like that pick. There goes Trevor Lawrence. So a little bit of a run on quarterbacks here. We predicted that somewhat correctly, so I like that situation for us. If we didn't take Justin Herbert, I mentioned it before, DJ Moore, James Conner, I really like both those guys. I probably would have gone with DJ Moore. I think he has the higher upside. I think he's not as injury prone. So yeah, DJ Moore would have been the selection there. And again, we might be kicking ourselves because in the seventh round, there's still going to be good quarterbacks. And that's what I mean. Potentially a Dak, potentially a Deshaun. I typically like to take Aaron Rodgers if I miss out on all those guys. Obviously, that's not the case here. That's not a possibility. But it's okay. Dallas Goedert was another value pick at tight end at that point in time. I think the next best tight end has got to be Kyle Pitts. Correct. Let's see where he goes. If we're kicking ourselves that we took George Kittle, but we can't predict what other people are going to do or where some of these players are going to drop. So you go by your board. You go by where these players should be ranked correctly in your opinion, and I think we've done that so far. And yeah, let's kind of continue to play this thing out. Look at some of these other potential guys that we can land at running back. James Conner should be drafted here momentarily. If he's there, Alvin Kamara is probably going to be my next pick because, we're not going to have to force him to start for us. That's one of the things that I like. Marquise Brown, also, I mentioned him before. I think that he's a guy I was considering in this last round as well. But I thought, I kind of played the odds. I'm like, okay, there's a pretty good chance he falls to us. Let's see if that truly does happen. So we've taken a lot of chances here, maybe. And actually, they've kind of paid off. Like, we thought, okay, there's going to be a little bit of a run on tight ends. Might as well get one in the fifth round. That was correct. Dallas Goedert and Kyle Pitts both off the board, so there's another tier break with the tight ends. We thought there was going to be a run on quarterbacks. Probably should take one. That's what happens. Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott. So we felt that out correctly. And the reason you heard me say ooh is because Alvin Kamara just got selected. But again, that's a savvy pick. I cannot be mad at it. Dalvin Cook, not a savvy pick in my opinion. A horrendous pick in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. I think that he should not be drafted this highly. It's tough to say the seventh round is high draft value, but I really think that it's a situation where wherever he goes, it's not going to be as good as Minnesota. Here, this guy's on auto pick, which is unfortunate because I think we're going to get sniped on James Conner. I'm almost 100% sure. Yep, and that's exactly what happens. We were sniped on James Conner and Alvin Kamara, so for the first time here, some adversity, if you will, but I can't be too mad about it. I'm taking Marquise Brown, and I think he's going to get absolutely peppered with targets, so I like that. And then potentially we can land Alexander Madison in the next round, or Rachaad White. I think both those guys are good choices as starting running backs, so can't be mad at that. Of course, as soon as I say that, Alexander Madison gets selected, but oh well. I'm not too mad about it. For God's sakes, we've got Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley. as long as both those guys stay healthy, it's game over at the running back position. We have that on lockdown. I think you can argue we've got the top 2 running back pairings here, arguably, in this draft. Kind of looking back at it, I guess Austin Eckler and Tony Pollard could rival us. I'm not gonna lie, but I like our running back tandem. I like how we were able to put together the rest of our wide receivers. So at this point in time, we just make a couple more selections and think we can wrap this thing up. And right now, my pick here would probably be Rachaad White if he's still there. I think AutoPick might have something to say about that. I also don't mind Mike Williams getting that nice little stack. Ooh, Evan Ingram just went. Okay, so that pretty much guarantees we're going to get either Rachaad White or Mike Williams. So I feel good about that. One of them is going to continue to build our depth at wide receiver. The other is going to get us that third running back. Unfortunately, Rachaad White gets sniped from us. Oh, well. Again, it's not the end of the world. I'm okay with it. Here, I'm going to take Mike Williams. He's more of a standard suited wide receiver, but I think that he's still going to be one of the top 2 targets for Herbert as far as the wide receivers are concerned. It's like him, Keenan Allen. So I feel okay about that. Here, maybe we can queue up a couple players. So, within the first 2, probably 6-ish rounds, we didn't have to face getting sniped too much. These last 2 rounds, it kind of happened with guys like Alvin Kamara, James Conner, etc. But I'm a fan of this draft, and I know, again, people might give us some flack for taking running backs early, but I think this is a nice example of how it can turn out very well in your favor when there's a run on the pass catchers and you just capitalize on insane value. Because I think our value on Bijan and Saquon Barkley, where we got them, is tremendous. So I feel good about that. And this thing is kind of picked up here. Again, a lot of auto picks. So we're going to make one final selection here and then call it a day. And I'm looking at the guys that are on the board. James Cook has some upside, so we could go in that direction. Let's queue him up. There we go. And afterwards, let's see if there's anything in wide receiver. Oh, Michael Pittman's not bad. At this point in time, I think it's a pretty good value. Tight end, we've already got our boy in George Kittle, so I feel good about it. Let's see if we get sniped here. Oh, it's our turn to draft. We're not getting sniped. James Cook. All right. But with that, we kind of wrapped up the team. I like what we got at quarterback. I like what we got at tight end. I like the depth at wide receiver. I wish we had a little bit more depth at running back. We got sniped a couple times, but it's okay. I really like our duo. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.